Hello, US 101 class. Welcome to week 4. So I just want to mention a few things briefly, mainly some reminders about what you need to do to continue to get full points for your work. A history paper without dates is not a history paper, meaning you got to have dates. Some of you are still turning in papers, sometimes that are written well, and you don't have a set of specific dates. There should be I'm not saying, you could have one date, but if it's one date, then it's really got to be concrete. In other words, when a person reads your paper, there should be no question as to the time period you're talking about. And I want to remind all of you to think about it this way, and this goes for everyone at all times. Sometimes a student will write a paper to me, and they think that they're writing to their professor in a way that they don't have to explain certain things that they're saying in their papers because they're like, hey, well, you already know this. No. The way that you are supposed to write a paper is as if you're writing to somebody who doesn't know this information that you're telling, that you're talking about in the paper. So you are writing clear and concise language, but in a way that can be understood as if you were the teacher, okay? So I'm not looking for it to be super scholarly. Remember, these are not research projects, but whoever reads this paper should know whatever it is that you talk about, even if it's just a page, it should be clear what you're talking about and when the time period happens. And that means also there must always be citations. Always. I say this, I write it in the instructions, and everyone, not everyone, there's still too many students though, all the way up to the end of the year this will happen. Someone's forgetting to write the citations. So right now, if you wrote a paper, it's not graded yet, and you don't have any dates, and you don't have any citations, fix them and then resend it. There are some of you that I wrote that you got a 0, but I'm still going to give you a chance if you fix it and quickly resend this back to me with whatever you need to fix, and I'll give you the points that you deserve. Remember, when I get a paper, before I even read, you know what you wrote, and you might have written something really just a great job, well done. But I look for dates and citations because that's what I've mentioned from day one is a requirement of the papers. And if I don't see those, you get a 0. I don't read the paper, okay? So don't put your hard work into this and not do that. And I don't really need to go into time to explain why that's the case, but if you are frustrated with this rule and you actually want to hear some justification for it, please contact me and I will gladly explain to you this. But ultimately, what I want to remind all of you is that if you've made it this far, and if you are turning in work, even if you haven't been turning in all of your work, and if you've been communicating with me when you've been getting behind, and you're still starting to pick up and turn in late work that I've approved, and remember, any late work turned in without approval from me, 8 hours after the due date, will automatically not be accepted unless you ask my permission. So if you have been communicating, you are one of those students, you are on the right track for success right now, despite how hard it's been. So I just want to make sure that everybody's very, very clear on that. And so hopefully this is, information that is going to be encouraging for you to make sure you are aware and always know what you need to do and remind yourself how to stay focused, keep on track. I just want to remind you as well that as I'm looking at the discussions, I can tell when some of you are not reading the primary text and trying to answer the discussion. I am giving full points to a lot of you, but it's your education. If you're one of those, don't worry, don't be paranoid that I'm judging you if you're not one of those people. But if you're one of those students that is trying to bypass delving into the subject, and you're going to write to me some things where you didn't really look through the information that was necessary to get the answer, just know most likely I know it, and you know, you're dropping the quality of your education. Okay, so I'm not here to police anybody in terms of how much of an education you want, but I just want to encourage you to remember that you really can learn a lot, and you can grow and really come into understanding U.S. history and a lot of modern political debates in a more sophisticated way if you are really looking at the material as best as you can. Okay, so I just want to, and I want to keep encouraging that. And for the most part, I'm seeing the most of you are doing that. Of course, I made a post earlier about my thoughts and frustration as well with everyone about what we've just seen on the news. So much is going on in the world. It's been a pretty busy 2023 in a not so enjoyable way. You know, please always reach out to me if you're just needing some encouragement to stay focused. And I also want to always encourage students to write to me if there's anything that you question in terms of the content of the material we covered or something that I said. Again, I want you to get as much out of your education as possible. So, having said that, I hope you are all having a good week as best as possible. And please always reach out to me. Again, if there's anything that you need, I'll do my best to be available. We'll be in touch.